Do you remember that wedding from a month ago? Yeah, like that one that you needed to start editing yesterday? But you also need to prep today for your wedding tomorrow, and you're leaving for your first vacation in forever on Monday. So what do? It seems that the only creative part of your edits are the excuses you're going to have to give your clients. We have the solution, Wedditor. Wedditor is a team of top wedding editors, project managers, and account coordinators that help us wedding filmmakers edit. They match the right editors with your style so you can spend your time where it matters most, on your business. Nick and I both use Wedditor, and we don't know how we would run our companies without them. It takes a team to build an amazing business, and you shouldn't try to do it all on your own. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor to help you free up your time so that you can focus on growing your brand. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
You can just say, Alex messed up and we've had to cut this interview.
Okay.
Nick, you do it.
John,
Yeah,
I got
sorry.
you. I got
I'm
you.
not there. Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. Boy, am I excited, Nick, about today's episode.
Boy, am I excited. So excited.
have arrived. I'll tell you this. I thought we were famous. Now I'm for sure we're very famous. No, but in all reality, Nick, I'm pretty sure we just had Sculpting With Time, the Sculpting With Time, Alex and Whitney Douglas on the How to Film Weddings podcast.
We did. And we've only been getting requests to have them on the podcast since episode whenever people found out that we existed.
It's true. I mean, okay, so I need to rattle this off because I'm a big fan. The WPPI Grand Film Award winner in 2018 and 19. The WPPI Bill Hurter Award 2019, which is the top photo or video scored in the entire event. And it's the first time the video crew won. I was there for that whenever they won. It was the first time a videographer had won. The WEVA 2019 Filmmaker of the Year for Loves Sake Filmmaker 2018 and 2019 Filmmaker of the Year. Stories TV Filmmaker of the Year for 2019. The list goes on. Their films are incredible. They're mind-blowing.
They're not even next level. They're next level.
It's very true.
There isn't even a level for how next they are.
And today we get to talk to them about that. We have a lot of special things. We have a very special announcement. But we'll let them
special.
Listen to that.
We'll let the podcast announce it. We won't do it right now.
Exactly. So we have the very special announcement, and then we also do something with them, which I think is really cool. We get a lot of questions. We got a lot of questions about just
tons of them.
With time. How you do what you do. So we talked them into letting us premiere their brand new wedding film.
So you'll get to watch it. Yes, if you're watching this on YouTube or on our Facebook page, you will get to watch their brand new video in this feed, in this video. If you're listening on our podcast, then you're gonna.
It's time.
You're gonna need to be
Facebook,
visual.
Yes, but
there you go.
So
there you go.
Not only do we watch it with them afterwards, he breaks down the film, so he can he walks us through his thought process on how he made the film. So if you're a wedding filmmaker and you're not just drooling over this episode, there might be something wrong with you. I'm just saying.
Might be.
It's a huge episode. I don't want to waste any more of our listeners' time. I say we get right into the episode with Alex and Whitney of Sculpting With Time.
Okay.
We know the time suck that is searching for the perfect song for your wedding film. MusicBed has spent years collaborating with artists, bands, and composers to make it easier than ever for anyone to find the right song for their video.
With amazing artists like Chapters, Tony Anderson, and The Light, The Heat, MusicBed is the best place for wedding videographers to get licensed music.
Their subscription service was a life changer for me, especially since all of their subscription music is pre-cleared for every social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Love Stories TV, and my personal favorite, YouTube, all pre-cleared.
And if you are interested in a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. When you sign up, use the promo code HTFW and you will get your first month for free.
Awesome. Well, we are so very, very excited to finally have the Alex and Whitney Douglas from Sculpting With Time with us. Thank you guys for being here. Why don't you say hello, introduce yourself to the How to Film Weddings community.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Alex and Whitney Douglas from Sculpting With Time. We're honored to be here with you guys. You guys have a really cool platform, and you all have been doing amazing things. And I don't know, we're not typically podcast people, but we thought this was a great opportunity to come on, say hello, and talk about what we've been up to.
Yeah, and it's nice to be one-on-one with you guys. You know, we watch you guys, and very cool to be here all together.
Yes, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for being on. I know that our listeners are going to be very excited about this episode. There's lots of big things coming up. Vision Quest. I mean, people want to know how you guys do what you do and all that good stuff. So this episode is going to be special. Before we get into all of the things, why don't you kind of give us just a little bit of a breakdown of kind of Sculpting With Time, when you got going, just the whole story of how you kind of got from beginning to now.
Okay.
Cool.
You want to start with this?
Yeah, sure. Let's see, where does Sculpting With Time begin? I kind of started doing films like with my Super 8 cam, like filming my G.I. Joes, like writing narratives for them to rescue G.I. Jane and stuff like that when I was a kid.
That's so cool.
For real.
Yeah, that's
for
so
real.
cool. I wish I had that footage. That'd be cool to see.
High school, I think, like video or film became more of like a creative outlet for like teenage angst and more like, you know, therapy for me as a way to like express myself. I made a couple of cool films in high school that got me a scholarship to San Francisco Art Institute. So I studied film there. It's very kind of experimental but fine art school where they just kind of really go over a lot of like film history, stuff like that, and teach you how to do everything yourself. I mean, I don't know, film school is a mixed bag. It's kind of like a giant sandbox that you get to kind of play in, but then you're sheltered from like reality and real life and like how to actually make it in the real world afterwards. So then, yeah, I guess out of film school, then did a few docs, did a feature-length doc about the expansion of the Panama Canal, a few other projects that had me traveling around the world. But it was so kind of hit or miss, and it wasn't like stable. And like I had just reconnected with Whitney. We went to high school together, and it just felt like if I was going to be in this relationship with Whitney, which we did like long distance for like what, a year and a half, yeah, that I needed something more stable. So it felt like, oh well, how do I be a responsible adult and impress her parents? And you know, so we started getting a little into weddings, and you know, I was then more of a stable boyfriend and like respectable person, that I had like a job and wasn't gone for 8 months out of the year. And I don't know, we still did commercial stuff. Whitney got in. Let her tell her side briefly.
Yeah, so
I'm talking so much.
I joined the team in 2012, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Started doing weddings with Alex. I studied painting in school, and I had never really worked with filmmaking at all, but I was always kind of a multidisciplinary artist where I liked a lot of different creative formats. And so the first wedding, he brought me on to just be like an extra third, and I was just helping film a ceremony, and I started getting these like kind of cool art shots, and I was like, you know, this is such an awesome, powerful format, and I was really excited by it. And we have such a great synergy and a great way that we complement each other creatively and just kind of logistically and everything, that it was just really natural, kind of me slipping into that role and it becoming the two of us. And so 2012, we started doing some weddings together, and they were local weddings, just kind of random weddings, right? And we just kind of kept hitting them, and it grew, and now we're doing these awesome weddings all over the world and do about 15 a year, and then have time for other projects, whether they're commercial projects or doc projects, or having our first baby
Yep.
kind of project,
Yep.
letting there be space for life. So, that's how we kind of found ourselves in this biz, right?
See, she's so much more eloquent.
She did way better than you. I'm not going to lie. I was really interested in what she was saying. I drifted when you were talking.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So 2012, they got together, or started shooting together. It's 2019. You said you're shooting around 15 or so a year. And you kind of just breezed by it. You were like, we get to do these awesome weddings all around the world. But like, these aren't just like, this is like not just like awesome weddings. This is like mind-blowing weddings. And people that are listening, if they haven't seen your work, obviously they need to. But most people, I'm going to guess, have seen the work. But I guess you started in 2012. Paint a picture of kind of 2019. You said 15 weddings. Just kind of tell me what the business looks like today, as in like, how much of it is travel, that kind of thing, ballpark what you're maybe charging. Just kind of paint a picture of 2019, 2020 for Sculpting with Time.
Yeah, well, I'll do the contrast. Like 2012, like our first wedding, I think we got $200 for, and then we did a couple like that, and then we did the like bridal extravaganza things, and just slowly kind of worked our way up with, just being hungry, really. Yeah. Just wanting to push ourselves creatively, always just wanting to continually be inspired and learn. Like learning, like even at this point, shouldn't really ever stop, at least for me. If I'm bored, like I'm not putting in like my best self to my work, and I'm not benefiting from being bored. So like, I just want to keep growing as best as I can. So slowly, one way or another, whether it was taking advantage of opportunities or just continually pushing myself, or making opportunities and taking care of them, making the most of them. Slowly, we got to a point where, I don't know, I'd say it was probably like 2016. Yeah, where we had done a few destination weddings, but then we did a Cabo wedding that we really pushed ourselves on creatively. And then after that, we got an inquiry for Singapore and Indonesia wedding. And we really kind of blew up, I guess, after that. And then that wedding it went pretty viral. So that wedding became how all these other weird destination weddings found out about us, because they saw that wedding. So then we kind of became this conduit for weddings in multiple countries, or weddings that, I don't know, are just in exotic places and things like that. But on that Singapore Indonesia film, like every sunrise we hiked up this giant temple that was like a 30-minute walk at 4 a.m, and carrying all our gear. And 3 out of the 4 sunrises, the sun never came out. It was just dark, and we're trying to get these time lapses, and it just never happened. But just that like perseverance, that pushing yourself creatively. And I mean, we got paid well, but it wasn't like by far our most expensive wedding or anything. But just that kind of set that film became like our calling card, for all those kind of exotic type of weddings.
Well, and I think what kind of happened, to add on to that, after being in the business and doing well locally for a few years, you're kind of shooting in the same venues, you're approaching things maybe in a similar way, and you start maybe getting a little bored. Like, we kind of run our business a little bit more as artists and as filmmakers than just business people that are trying to make the max profit. Like, we want to have fun, and we want to be creatively fulfilled, and we want to have that kind of internal satisfaction on the jobs that we're doing, right? It's not just a job for us. It's something that we like really enjoy, and we're getting creatively stimulated by. And so I think after being in the business a few years, we saw these kind of opportunities, maybe like the way you were talking about going to Italy recently for this big destination wedding, and you just want to maximize it. And you want to do it for your couple, but you want to do it for yourself and for your business, right? And so I think we had these opportunities, and they were just like these little gold mines where it was like, if we really maximize it, because we want to, it really helped us develop a new kind of way of seeing weddings, a way of doing things, and realizing that there's not some playbook or rules you have to follow just because it's a wedding and the same kind of things happen on every wedding day. You don't have to capture it and edit it and tell this story the same way. And you can really step outside of your comfort zone or creatively and out of the box and do things kind of differently. And so I think those weddings were a really good opportunity for us to kind of start flexing ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. Well, one thing that John and I have said before on our podcast is it only takes one, right? It only takes that one break. You said you did this one in Cabo, which led to the one in Indonesia, which now that one from, Indonesia is basically kind of now why you're doing all this destination stuff. And it was because you took risks and you pushed yourself. And I just love that idea. If you get any opportunity, even if it's really small, but you take it and you work really hard at it, you don't know what could come from that. So put all your energy into that. That's a great point. So why don't you just share with a little bit, we talk about these crazy places that you've been, like where are some of the destinations maybe around the world that you guys still have to travel in 19 or that you're going in 20, just so some of our listeners can kind of hear all the places you guys are going.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, just in the past 4 weeks, I guess, we had a wedding in Thailand about 3 weeks ago. And then straight from there, we had a wedding in Ohika Castle in New York. And then straight from there, we had a wedding, like a glamping wedding in Michigan. And then straight from there, this weekend, I have a wedding in Yosemite. And then the next day, we finally have a wedding in Houston. So that's cool. And then later this year,
we've got some good California weddings this year.
Weddings. And then at the start of next year, one we're really excited about, can I say?
Yeah, well, we have a pro athlete wedding that's super cool. That's going to be in the Bahamas.
It is?
No. And just some good travel gigs next year. We've got Bahamas and Ireland. We've got Houston, and we're starting to kind of fill that out. So it'll have us going to some cool places and weddings we're definitely looking forward to.
Bummed I can't.
You can tell us off the air, just so we know, and then we can dangle it in front of the listeners that we have privilege.
Right. So, man, you're traveling to all of these cool places, these cool locations to film all these weddings, and as you watch your kind of film, if people watch your films, what they should do if they haven't, like we have said, it's just all sorts of different style editing and all that kind of stuff. But really, when you get down to it, you're on a wedding day just like we're on a wedding day, but you're doing stuff just a little bit differently. So can you maybe just share a little bit, like who's responsible for what when it comes to you guys on the wedding day, like with capturing, who does the audio or who are you, any of that kind of stuff, kind of break that down just a little bit.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, just for our business before the wedding day, I interact with all of our couples and our clients. I do our emails, our phone calls. Alex is our magician editor. And so this is kind of how we balance things in the studio. And then on a wedding day, I think we do really well at balancing and having really defined roles, right?
Yeah.
Alex is just like this magic man behind the camera, and his footage is so gorgeous. And I'm really, really strong at just being very logistical and making sure everything's set up the way it needs to be and making sure we're here doing this and this is ready for us. And so...
basically, she doesn't think I'm responsible and can't trust me. But no. She, like, on a wedding day, our weddings are a little different because our destination stuff, we feel like our clients are really... if they're choosing a location, like that location is kind of a character, like in our film. And so, like, there's a importance or meaning to them having their wedding there, and I don't want it to just look like a resort, that could be in Houston or wherever, Indonesia. So our planning is just, the way we shoot stuff is just a little different. So we do a lot of B-roll, which takes a lot of planning ahead of time. So she's sort of definitely in all our pre-production and everything. She handles that. But then as well as kind of figuring out the vibe and how we can kind of match the vibe of the couple, the place, the wedding. She does a lot of that. So we kind of have already a good understanding of like our style that we're going to take on for like this film. For instance, like our Italy film, she knew that like we needed to really push this kind of very, I don't know, what would you say for Italy? Like, wow, she's so good at describing things.
Oh, well, just that, Italy, you just got back from there. There's just like such a saturation in the feel of everything, from the music and the food and the energy of everybody. And there's just like this kind of natural fun and whimsy about Italy, right?
Yeah.
And
so she'll start saying all that, and then I'll riff off of that. And so I'm like, well, let's kind of introduce some vintage Italian music, and then, okay, we need to have these shots to kind of help pull off that vibe. And then before we know it, we've kind of developed this whole concept outside of just shooting the wedding itself. But a lot of our films, I'd say, are like concept films. So they kind of differ from each other because each wedding, there's so many different dynamics at play, and we try and like capitalize on that. So what was the original question?
On a weddting day,
yeah.
What different roles we play.
Yeah. I'm loving all this. I'm just sitting here like eating the popcorn like, tell me more.
Yeah, we're both shooting, she's doing groom prep, I'm doing bride prep. Mm-hmm. And then
details are super important in our film. So I'm kind of getting, like for a reception, I'm getting all of our lights, our audio set up. I'm helping assist Alex getting different shots, kind of eyeing different things that we want to be sure that we capture while he's capturing them. And then we just kind of give and take like that pretty much, right?
On all the stuff outside of the wedding, though, like I'll be shooting it, but she'll be kind of like directing it, or co-directing it. So she'll be like, hey, you should shoot this, or hey, what about this or that? But it just makes it easier so I don't have to like, two eyes or four eyes are better than one.
And I think the way to really maximize it too, it's like when you're behind the camera, you're so fully engrossed in whatever you're capturing that you're not looking around at everything else going on in the room or what else is happening. And so to have him just fully absorbed in capturing something the most cinematically and beautifully as possible. But then the second he's done, I'm like, okay, we're going to go film this next, and we can film it from this angle. And then after that, we're going to go film that over there. And so it keeps us really efficient, I think. And it keeps us, I'm kind of the taskmaster in that way too. And so it works out.
That's awesome.
Really well.
That's great. It leads me to, I guess, the next question, just kind of on the heels of that. Gear, just real quick before we move into the next part of this. What are you guys shooting on? Like geek out real quick on like what is the gear you guys are trying to, or the camera bodies, any of that kind of stuff. Like what team do you guys play for?
Yeah. So we kind of, did the whole gotta upgrade. Like that's what's gonna be the key to like getting me to that next level for probably about 3 or 4 of our first years doing weddings. And then we just started to realize it's not the gear. It's what we put into each film. It's the concept. It's how we edit. It's the music we choose, how we relate to our couples, the relationships we build. And a lot of that just came with our confidence. The more confidence we had in ourselves and our work, we realized we didn't need to just keep upgrading stuff. Like I was telling John earlier, I'm editing on a 2014, 2015 iMac.
Yeah, I love that, by the way. It just makes me so happy that you're, like, we talk about it a lot on the podcast. So anyway, I'll get you back to your point here, sorry.
Yeah. So camera-wise, we just decided a while ago, like when the 1D-C came out, it was one of the first cameras that was doing 4K at Canon. And then we never went with that. But once the 1DX2 came out, it was the first camera that could do 4K 60p. And that was probably about 3 years ago even. So it was way ahead of the time. But it also had the dual pixel autofocus, which for me, I do a lot of gimbal stuff. and I'm zoomed quite a bit. So like that tact focus sharpness while I'm running towards something or pulling away or whatever was really beneficial. So yeah, we haven't upgraded in forever. I don't think we'll upgrade in a while. But yeah, we were running one 1DX2 and one Sony A7S II for a while. Color grading was just a little bit painful, but it was still manageable. But now we're finally both on two 1DX2s, and then ceremony cameras are one A7S II and one RX104. I don't even know what the name is. I bought it from Aaron on one of his garage sales, Aaron Tharp. So yeah, that's our gear setup as far as cameras. Mavic Pro 2 drones are a big deal to us. We have always been trying to like chase that technology. Like we had a S1000
giant
at a point because it could fly a GH4.
Yes.
We did not use it on weddings, though. Don't.
And then then Spire with the Zimuse X5R gimbal that could do the GH4 sensor and shoot RAW, and we take that for a few weddings. But eventually, once the technology came in smaller boxes, and it was more about efficiency for us. Being able to fly the Mavic Pro 2's been a lifesaver for us.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's how everything's changed. Like the more we can streamline our gear so we can be efficient and we can capture moments as they're happening, and we're comfortable with that, like getting rid of all that extra gear. It's just so nice and kind of liberating. I remember when we used to have sliders and we had our monopods, and just the fact that now you just don't have to deal with all that is pretty awesome.
But whatever rules there are, we're willing to break them. Like we still fly around with a Movi M10 everywhere because I prefer how that gimbal handles versus the one-handed pistol grip gimbals. So yeah, we fly with the M10, 24-70, and kind of 50 1.2 are kind of our go-to lenses. Yeah.
Man, I really like what you're saying there about the gear, and when you've been in this for a while, you realize that isn't what matters. It's the work that you put in behind it, and you would much rather have a system where you can when you were saying just be efficient with your time and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that's a great thing to hear, because more and more we talk to experienced filmmakers that have been doing this a while. They're like, I spent so much time building up all this gear, and now I'm getting rid of a ton of it because, I just don't need it or whatever. And so young filmmakers, new filmmakers, like that, whenever we preach, hey, you don't need a whole bunch of stuff. Like there's a reason behind it. So that's cool to hear. Just another person, say that thing. In our Facebook group, we asked earlier today that we have a Facebook group. If you're not a part of that, you should join that. But we said we were talking with Alex and Whitney of Sculpting With Time, and so we asked some questions. And our question of the day, presented by Wedditor, Art Camiso asks, "What advice do you have for new filmmakers when it comes to developing a brand and a style that is authentic?" It's a good one. That's a good one. What advice do you might have for that?
I think we kind of brushed over it a little bit when we talked about kind of our timeline and our trajectory. But I would say I'd say a lot of different things. It's not kind of easy just to kind of summarize, but I'll let Whitney start.
I'll start with just kind of the obvious. I'd say like look for what's like creatively engaging you and what gets you excited about filmmaking, or what you think like, oh, maybe I could try to pull off this type of shot. That's this location. I really love it. Like what gets you excited, and kind of follow that excitement, I think can lend you creatively to trying a lot of different things, and you can surprise yourself. And then once you do a few things like that, you just build on that. And each wedding you have your tricks from the last wedding, and you can just say, oh, I love how that turned out, and maybe I want to add like another element to it on this wedding. And then suddenly you have your whole arsenal of different tricks up your sleeves and ways you like to approach things. And it's unique to you, and it kind of becomes your own visual language, right?
Yeah, I think that's very valuable. I'd probably reverse that. I would say start with fundamentals first, like learn your fundamentals, learn the basics, like be a really good shooter, make sure you can get everything tack sharp, exposure properly. Just worry about all the fun color grading, sound design, story building, building your narratives. And then from there, like what Whitney was saying, is like start introducing things that break away from sort of like your traditional formulas. And I think the thing with like technology now is like it's so easy to kind of, I have this brand new camera and it does everything and I can just hop in and be a filmmaker. And maybe I listen to a couple podcasts and not podcasts, yes, but like maybe tutorials, on YouTube or whatever. But I think like it's so easy to skip a lot of steps these days because the technology is so readily available. It does most of what you think you need to be a filmmaker, but the key essentials to telling a story are story. Like you need to have story involved one way or another. You need to be a good storyteller, whether it's just through music, whether it's through voiceover, whether it's through figuring out how to incorporate speeches. Lighting obviously is a huge thing. White balance, like all those fundamentals are at the core of what we're doing, and then breaking away from them
or adding to them.
Well, I told you I had so many different like answers to this, so that would be one thing. Another thing would be like, don't just see someone you really like their films and like try and copy them, because you're going to miss the soul or like the core of like what they're doing, and you're
drive, maybe
you're just going to like be emulating, and it's going to be hollow. And so like if you realize that like, yes, you should study everyone, but like if you're trying to copy someone, like the intention or the meaning isn't going to be there. And so like you're always going to do your version of you like better than anyone else in the world could ever do.
100%.
So like doing the copycat train, I don't think will get you there, but definitely study everyone. I think that's really, really important. And like realize what you like about some people and what you don't like about others, and incorporate some of those things and see like, does this resonate with my style, my clientele, my locations, like all that type of stuff. And then, just building relationships, I would say, with photographers, with planners, with venues, and go out of your way to accommodate them, to build those relationships, show that you really care, show that like this is really important to you, and that relationship is really important to you.
So tell me, what CRM do you use? If you're not sure or you don't know what a CRM is, I'm about to save you a lot of time and therefore money. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. Basically, a CRM is an online service that helps you better serve your clients. HoneyBook is both mine and John's CRM of choice. We absolutely love it. HoneyBook allows us to do all of our correspondence, contracts, and payments all in one place. One of the features that I love is the automated workflow. We all have emails that we send out to all of our clients, right? At 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, the week of. All of us do it. Automated workflows make it so that those emails can go out automatically. Since I don't have to take time to, 1, remember to send them out, and 2, to write them, I save time and make more money by working more efficiently. Are you interested in saving time on the business side of things? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook for a free 1-week trial. Also, because the Honeybooks really like me and John, we can give you $200 off of your first year, and that also comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to howtofilmweddings.com/honeybook to start saving lots of time in your business. Oh yeah, legally I have to tell you that John and I are affiliates of HoneyBook.
Such great information. Thank you for answering that question about, developing your brand and being authentic. And something that's coming up that if you would like to learn more from Whitney and Alex and some other amazing filmmakers is this little thing called Vision Quest. John, have you heard of this thing called Vision Quest?
There's been a dusting in my Facebook feed about it. I can't remember too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty awesome. So, Alex, Whitney, we're just going to give you guys a few moments to tell us all of the details, everything about Vision Quest, when it is, what's happening, who's going to be there, all of that stuff. So why don't you just share with us about this awesome event?
Yes, Vision Quest. We are so excited about this. We have been asked for a few years if we wanted to speak at or host a filmmakers workshop or event, and it never really felt like the right time for us, but we are finally going to make it happen. We have been dreaming this up for a little while now, and we said if we ever put on an event like this, it had to be big and totally unforgettable, and all the stars have aligned, and it is going down this October in Austin, Texas. We are bringing 6 of our other favorite filmmaker friends with us, and it's going to be 2 days of pretty insane inspo and fun.
October 21st and 22nd, guys. I mean, FOMO is pretty real at this point. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to check out the lineup, but it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. I mean, it starts with, Ray Roman, who's been the OG, doing it as good as you can do it for as long as you can do it, and just keeps on impressing us time and time again. Really paved the way for everyone. Joe Simon, right? He's going to be there. Pioneer, who's just was at the top of his game and then decided to trade it all in and transition into commercial stuff, and is just really, impressed and blown away everyone that he's still doing it at the top of his game and can really talk about his transition into that world better than anyone else can. We got 31 Films, Aaron Tharp showing up. I mean, this guy, he's been, 12 years into weddings. 31's been, 14 years, 15 years. Makes no difference. They've been doing it a long time, and they keep on, reinventing and pushing themselves and just, staying at the top of their craft. And on top of that, they've been doing commercial stuff for the past 5 or 6 years that just is insane. So super excited to have them on board.
We've got Henry Martins.
Yeah, you want to talk about Henry?
Yeah, well, super fresh guy, super fresh films. He is just approaching things from this new perspective. He's really exciting, one of the newer filmmakers on our panel, right? Yeah,
everyone else really has to kind of take notice. This dude is really put everyone on notice, and super impressive skills and willingness to share everything with the community. So super proud to have this be his first speaking engagement. Dude's awesome. And we got Jordan Bunch of Film Mavericks. Awesome guy, super inspirational speaker, has been doing Lady Bird Studios, huge brand-based stuff, as well as Film Mavericks. They have their podcast, they have their commercial branded stuff. Just really inspiring guy, business pro, who can really share a lot of his knowledge.
We have us, Sculpting with Time.
Sculpting with Time.
This is our first speaking in the U.S. also, so we are pretty excited and a little nervous. Not really nervous. We're excited about it.
Man, we just wanted to really put on an event that we would want to go to ourselves. So that's how we've kind of really tried to curate everything. And if we were going to go to an event ourselves, we'd have to have someone else there, right? Sharon.
Oh, our final speaker. Yes.
Fiore Films is she going to do a simulcast or something?
Yeah, so we were going to have the mythical unicorn filmmaking queen of the East Coast, Sharon Fiore, joining us via simulcast, but that has changed. She is joining us in real life now.
In real life.
Yes.
Sharon will be in Austin, Texas to hang out with y'all on the 22nd. Mm-hmm. And it took some finesse, but this girl is super talented, and it's going to be her first time ever speaking in person for any event. And we're so excited about that.
We are. The way this came about, because she is not a workshop or event or a speaker kind of person, she is so modest, honestly, and so cool, and so
Down to earth.
down to earth, so much style. But the way this kind of came about and we convinced her to come to Austin is because we were in Brooklyn 2 weeks ago filming an intro for her simulcast, and we were halfway across the Brooklyn Bridge, and we're walking and talking, and Alex is filming us, and we're getting this cool content, and it starts dumping buckets and buckets and buckets of rain on us. And we just looked like hot messes without an umbrella in the middle of Brooklyn Bridge. And so pretty much that was it.
I mean, those girls were rocking it, but
Yeah.
I understand the hesitance.
Yes, so...
But after a few hummus and vegetable dips and hanging out on a rooftop in Brooklyn, the topic came up of maybe Sharon should hang out with us in person, and a week or two in, and it's happening.
Yeah.
So we're super excited.
Yeah. So, between all of the different speakers, on a serious note, right? Between the speakers that are all so super talented at what they do, and they all approach things and filmmaking in such a different, unique way.
So different, but that's what's beautiful about it. There's no right or wrong way to do this, I think.
I think we just have a really diverse lineup of people that are uniquely talented, that have so much to share, and we're going to have so much just kind of inspiration, hearing them and kind of getting insight into why they do what they do. But besides just that, we have like a lot of fun social stuff planned, and we really want this to be a fully immersive 2-day experience for people, where it's not just about people speaking or presenting. It's also just a social event for everybody, and a great opportunity to connect in real life with all of these other filmmakers that we're inspired by, that we connect with on a daily basis on social media, and just have real life time together.
Yeah, we got like a river boat cruise that we're cruising down Lady Bird Lake with the skyline of Austin as the background. We go underneath the Bat Bridge, which is like the largest migration of bats in North America on a daily basis. If I'm like totally messing this up and you're a bat like nerd, you can totally call me out, but I feel pretty confident saying this. And on top of that, there's going to be a live band presented by Song Freedom jamming out on top of the boat as margaritas and adult beverages are flowing, along with some barbecue or tacos. We're not totally sure yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're super excited about that, and a couple other event like after hours stuff.
We have an aura photographer joining us for check-in. So basically, when you guys are coming to check in and tell us we're here, we're ready for this, we can't wait for Vision Quest, everyone's going to get their aura snapped. And Mood by Moss is based in Austin. They're super cool, and they're going to be kind of telling us what our auras mean, and it'll be just a fun little art piece you get to go home with, and a super cool lanyard for during the workshop event.
Yeah. So we just really want this to be like a really curated, high-end, like VIP experience for everyone, not just like sit in a theater and listen to people talk to you. It's equally about like hanging out with your community and getting a chance to speak to like-minded filmmakers and these speakers as well. And
there's so much we have planned.
Super excited about the whole event.
Yeah.
So.
We've been holding on to the news with the How to Film Weddings, community. We're getting asked a lot of we're coming to the event, and we can now finally say we're going to be there too. They're putting our picture at the very top of the website. I heard. It's like it's us and then them. The names are kind of meh, whatever. But us, Nick. It's going to be about us. No, but we're really excited to meet all these people, meet you guys in person.
Super excited.
And then everybody that we're seeing that is buying tickets and coming to this event. Just the community, like you're talking about, that's around something like this is so much more impactful. I can't say it enough. By just being in the same room with some of these people and being able to, just hang out and hear from them, it changes your mindset and stuff. And so we always love being in person with people. So we can't wait to be in Texas next month with you guys. So we're pumped.
What are you guys most looking forward to
Oh my gosh.
at Vision Quest? Is there like a social thing or a speaker that you're most excited about? Have you been to Austin before?
I've been to
cool
Austin.
city.
It's a great city. I'm really excited about the social side. I know we're doing some fun things and like going out on boats and eating barbecue and all those kinds of things are fun. And then obviously just the information to get from all of these speakers. I mean, I'm a big fangirl of everyone that you have there, except Jordan. I'm just kidding. Jordan and I are good friends. I hope he listens to this. No, but like, everyone there has such a different, like you're saying, like a unique, Jordan running his business or Aaron running or Sharon or just like, oh my goodness, I'm just ready to soak it in like a sponge. I mean, whenever you guys announced it, I just remember texting Nick or Nick texting me like, oh my gosh, did you see this? We have to go to this.
Like whenever you announced it and I saw all these names, it was like Aaron and Henry and Jordan, but whenever you said that you had Joe Simon there, that's when I was really like, whoa. Holy cow. Yeah. Because, for some of our younger listeners, they're probably like, Joe who? Right? But, when I started in 2012, like he was, one of the 5, like the guys, in the country when it came to wedding videos. And so now he's just moved on, in his career and changed and stuff. But I was like, okay, you hear stuff and you're kind of like, okay, this is cool. This is legit. This is going to be, and then you drop, a name like that and you're like, okay, this is really next level. Yeah. They've really thought about who they're bringing in and all that stuff. So that was one that I was really excited just to hear from and maybe meet him and talk to him for a minute.
I just have to add, I know that you guys are the guests here, but like the idea to like just go to see you, the two of you, like I would pay that.
Sure.
Or if I'm going to just see Joe, I would pay that. Or Ray Roman or Henry and so like you to go down that whole list and it's like, well, I would just pay for the ticket to go to Aaron Tharp's class or Jordan Bunch or Sharon and it's just like, oh my goodness, all of this. Like when I started in 2007, there wasn't this going on, there wasn't conferences like this. And like, I mean, if you're new or newer, or if you're advanced and been doing this, like me for 13 years or Nick for almost 10 years, like I'm giddy to just be in the room and like take notes and stuff. So it's one of those things for me. It's like you ask the question, what are you looking forward to? And it's like, what am I not looking for? I mean, there's nothing.
All of it? Nothing. Like, is that a fair answer? All of it?
So we're really excited to be there and get to hang out with you guys and all that good stuff.
And then the community aspect of being with, like-minded people, like you're saying, people that aren't speakers, but, people that we interact with on Facebook groups or messages or whatever, putting a face to a name and like voices instead of text and, like that kind of stuff. That just, it adds so much. You get so much more out of being with other people that you just can't, in a digital format. So, yeah.
And that's one of the things we were talking about too. It's like everyone's in all of these forums every day while you're editing, while you're working, and you have this level of interaction and kind of familiarity with people, but you don't ever get to hang out with them, and you don't ever get to just like have that kind of natural connection with them. And I think the filmmaking industry as a whole, like photographers have tons of different conferences and get-togethers where like you just build a community of people, but filmmakers don't really have as many options for that. And so we just thought this would be a cool time and be I'm so excited to hear all these people speak. Yeah. Honestly, I can't wait. And I think it's going to be someone compared it like it's kind of like the original like Woodstock lineup, right? And so like I feel like everyone, like you said, could be doing their own thing in their own right, and it would be incredible. And then just kind of have us all doing this together is a pretty special thing that we have aligned here. So we're excited.
So you said you have like 85 or 90 people hanging out. I know that as we're recording this, you guys are really low on the amount of tickets you have left. So if people are wanting to grab a ticket, I would implore you before they're gone. I mean, there's like 10 or less tickets left of the whole event from what I understand. So it's obviously selling a lot. I just want to throw it out there to the listeners, when we drop this episode, if you're listening, 6 months from now, this doesn't pertain to you as much, but like if you're listening, while we're dropping this, head over to the link in the description for sure, and grab a ticket because they're going to be gone very soon. And then you just can't get it. Like it's over. Once you can't get a ticket, you're going to have that FOMO. FOMO is real, y'all. That's what I hear.
I know, right?
That's what I heard.
Yeah. We wish we could have a few more spots, but really our main limitation is because of some of the after hours events we really wanted to put on for everyone. We're doing this pretty awesome boat cruise at sunset underneath the Bat Bridge, and there's going to be a live band playing from Song Freedom, and there's just going to be a lot of we really wanted to put an emphasis on, I mean, this lineup sells itself, but let's curate a really high-end experience for everyone. So
love it.
So that it's not just about sitting in a room listening to these people talk. It's getting to hang out with them and talk to them about whatever questions you might personally have, and just providing an environment that really promotes that kind of community or engagement. And so we could have easily just done it just the workshop on itself, or had people pay for a lot of these after hours things, but we really wanted it to be everyone to feel like they got a lot for what they're paying for, and that they really felt like VIPs kind of at this event. So we're pretty stoked about it. But there's only a few seats left.
And the website is visionquest-2019.com, right? Yep. So visionquest-2019.com. Go to the website, check out, grab one of those few tickets left so that you can hang out with all these famous people, but really you just want to hang out with me and John.
Yeah. I mean,
we know that.
We just added two more really famous people that are going to be there. And I would say the link will just be in the description below. It's you can just click the link and then it will take them over to the website.
Yeah.
It's all
there you go.
there you go.
So whenever we talked to Alex about him and Whitney coming on, he had this idea that you guys actually have a wedding film that you're premiering the same day that this podcast drops. And you had an idea about showing it in our live video feed, and you guys kind of talking about it and kind of talking through some of your stuff. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, just through your earbuds and you can't see us, we highly recommend going over to our YouTube channel or maybe our Facebook group so that you can watch this. So there's your forewarning. So now we're going to get it all set up, and we are going to John, sorry.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to say that when you think about Sculpting with Time, I mean, there's so many questions. We put their image
so many
into the group, and it's just question. And it was okay, instead of trying to get them to break down how they're the best in the world at this, it might be better to get them to just watch a film and kind of give their own commentary, and after it's over, kind of be able to maybe pop back through a little bit of some of the parts and have them give some of the knowledge that they have. Obviously, we can't teach you how to be sculpting with time in a 45-minute window. It's just not going to happen. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there that we felt like that was the best way to answer the tons of questions that came in. So,
yeah, dig it. Yeah, we don't really release films that often, but we're super excited about this one, and I thought it'd be a great way to kind of help get some hype going around this podcast and Vision Quest.
Yeah.
So we're all about it.
Pumped.
Love it.
Yeah, so this film that we're about to show, we filmed at the Breakers in Palm Beach. It was a pretty over-the-top, high-end clientele.
It was our first wedding back after having a baby too. So we had a 6-week-old baby in our first destination, and so it was a whole nother level of figuring out the logistics for it.
The groom just bought LeBron James's old house in Miami, so they're that level of kind of VIP. But we knew it was going to be over the top, but we're those type of people, they're awesome for paying you and trusting you and all that, but you don't have as much access to them. Right. So there's a lot of things to kind of try and game plan for as well. And some of these really over the top weddings, not saying this one in particular, but just in some of these scenarios, there could be a little bit of tension between you and the photographer, because maybe they're one of the top 3 in the world and they know it, and so it's their wedding type of thing. So you never know if it's going to be tension there, if you're kind of doing some gymnastics to try and get everything to work right, but you have to game plan for it. So we knew we wanted to go in with it, trying to get a shoot outside of the wedding with a couple. We also, these clients, we typically rely on being able to have a lot of FaceTime or, talking with them on the phone. Whitney does a lot of kind of informal interviews to kind of really get a better idea of who our clients are and what they would gravitate towards, as far as their style of their film.
Yeah, we don't do like questionnaires before a wedding. We just kind of do a FaceTime video with them and just kind of talk to them and kind of get to know who they are. And I think it's a way to really kind of authentically connect with someone. They get comfortable with you before a wedding, and you get a better sense of who they actually are versus just bullet points.
But some of these type of weddings and these scenarios, like the people, you never meet them, you never get to talk to them ahead of time. So we do our fair share of stalking. So, we'll go on their Instagram pages, their Facebook pages, and if they're accessible, and just try and, figure out a little bit more about who these people are.
Yeah.
And so we started to see that the bride-to-be, used to be a model and has a lot of very, high fashion kind of, I don't know, how would you describe it?
Well, so they're like this super cool Miami couple, very sexy, spicy kind of flair to them. Yeah. And so, you look at their Instagram pages and they just have a lot of really intimate kind of photography and very fashion based. And so we knew that portrait shoot on the wedding day was maybe going to be really limited for us being able to direct things or even necessarily get the kind of content we would want for our style of editing. And so we pushed the idea of doing a shoot with them prior to the wedding and doing something just different that really kind of reflected who they presented themselves as being, since we didn't do the kind of video chats with them that we would normally do.
So we kind of floated the idea of doing a boudoir, a couple's boudoir portrait session with them, which for in a wedding film at a venue like the Breakers seemed a little risky. But we just decided to try it or at least pitch it, because that seemed like a chapter out of their story. That's part of who they were.
Totally.
And we wouldn't pitch that to everyone, but for this specific wedding, it really fit them as a couple. So they were really into it. They loved the idea. And
I've been obsessed with 90s Calvin Klein ads for my entire life. And so I immediately kind of thought about some of those commercials and kind of the vibe and the imagery that they would have. And we were like, okay, this would be a way to do kind of an intimate session with them, but have it be really appropriate and sophisticated and be able to kind of fold it into a wedding film and have it add something without it being just kind of gross or weird or,
And we ended up differentiating all that footage as black and white footage, and the rest of the film is in color. Stylistically, I just thought it worked. But let's see, there's something else as far as setting the kind of stage. Oh, you'll see, if you saw our France film, this film is drastically different from that. If you saw our Italy film, our France film is drastically different from that, and as well as this film. But so we really just tried to key in on this is a really Miami giant party. That's what they were really pushing. And so, we wanted the music to be more kind of modern, not dancey, but there are a few break beats in it. But I also really wanted to push the, I can talk about some of that when we watch it. But just all our films are drastically different, and this one was really pushing sort of a club kind of party vibe. They had Carlos Vives, who's a famous Colombian musician. They flew him in from Colombia, and he has a couple national Grammys. Yeah, so he's a pretty big deal.
A little bit,
but yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you say? We just kind of play it and see what happens?
I think it's be great.
Cool.
I'm excited to see it.
Cool. Awesome.
Here we go.
Polo a tierra, mi corazón. el futuro que siempre he soñado. Tú eres mi alma gemela.
So that's one of the boudoir portrait shoots, but you know, it's still very classy. She's in a bathrobe. It's not too over the top.
Defenderte y serte fiel hasta el último de nuestros días.
It's a really big ring.
So beautiful.
These are some of the different stylistic tricks we were talking about, incorporating time lapses, hyperlapses, drones.
Welcome to Palm Beach.
Gosh.
Welcome to the XD Bikes party.
So we really picked this song because of all the shifts that it has. You know, there's so many different kind of editing tricks that I can pull off because of how the music shifts so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like this kind of like synthesizer feel like really matched like all the lasers and everything. Oh, I just wanted to hit them over the top right there with that, like with that music shift and her like in her lingerie, just like confronting the camera.
Lord, let this rings.
So amazing.
Remind them.
So pretty.
For each other.
Just love it.
From every human being.
Like what?
That rays a light that reaches straight to heaven.
Oh man.
So that was a 24 millimeter macro Lao lens that we just showed that was going through the Bible.
Man,
So cool.
And a brighter light goes forth.
It's an f14 lens.
Love always hopes. Always trusts. Always perseveres.
Love the black and white stuff.
yeah. So good.
Faith, hope, and love abide.
So kind of a motif that, you know, we really wanted to pull off here, just like a concept was like having everything kind of in black and white here except for the fountain.
Is love.
And that being like the symbol like of their love or their passion. And we thought everything was so kind of edgy or creative previously that like this part of the song feels more traditional, but we wanted the footage to kind of be more like a traditional kind of recap of everything at this point.
Man.
Yes, everything slows down.
So this is kind of a technique we really kind of played with recently,
Just stops ticking.
where it's kind of zooming
Feels
and
like
spinning
we
at the
were
same
meant to
time.
be together.
And
The universe has brought us together through.
put a few of those
this
clips
life.
back to back, and it kind of just feels like you're
And
kind of
future
portaling
lives,
into
we were just meant to be
another
one.
dimension or something.
Man,
I'm clapping.
beautiful. So good. So good.
When I watch these kinds of films and watch films that you do in particularly, I sometimes have this like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not going to, and I just wanted to throw it out there to the listeners that like, that's not the point of bringing you on and showing this, but it's more, getting knowledge from somebody that's doing something different, maybe taking a few things that you like. So before we broke down anything else, I just wanted to throw that out there. Don't throw your computer at the wall, even though you want to. You've been doing this a long time. You've gone to film school. You're very, very well versed in this kind of a thing. And so use this as inspiration to get better, not something to make you feel lesser. That's all.
Well, for sure. And I think that's really valuable, but I think it's also the perspective that I had coming into weddings. Like everyone starts at the bottom. Like everyone's looking up to people, at the beginning, and they don't, I had nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. I compared myself to other people. I thought I was jealous of everyone. I thought there's no way I can get to this point. Like those are all natural feelings and thought processes that everyone has. And I think when you can kind of have that camaraderie that like everyone's been at the bottom, then like it makes it more approachable or more attainable. That like, well, if I'm looking up to him, there's no reason that I can't get to that point. It's not. I don't know. I think it's tricky comparing yourself to others. It's never going to end in a positive way, but because there's someone releases a new film and I'm like, damn, dude, that's so good, and I wish I could have done that, or why didn't I think of that idea, or and you always end up walking away like not feeling good. I guess what's the quote? Comparing yourself to others, like the thievery of joy.
Yep.
Or something like
Comparison is the thief of joy. Yep.
Yeah. And I think there's truth in that. I think it's good to study everyone's work at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Whether it's narratives, weddings, music videos, photography, fashion, cooking. Just like draw inspiration from creative forces. Because people are creating in so many different ways, and like it's valuable to see how people choose to fulfill their visions, or how they choose to solve their problems, and walking yourself or being able to see like their thought processes and stuff like that. I think is really valuable and really you can get a lot from it. So
well, I love it. And Nick, I don't know if some of the shots stood out to you, or Alex, like kind of how you want to go back through, but I know we can't break down the entire film, but would love to kind of like scroll back a little bit and kind of check out a couple of the things. You'd mentioned the clock and the spinning. That shot was really cool. But like, Nick, did anything stand out to you that you'd want to maybe go back to? I mean, the whole thing to me, I'm just like, well, and Alex too, if you have something that's kind of like you would like to break down. We've got about 5 minutes to do that before running out of time for the podcast. So
yeah, I'll just bring up a couple different little things. Like, okay, starting from the beginning, this shot that's kind of spinning out and zooming out. They're lying on the bed. I'm standing above them, and I just use a very, very slow take of that, but I overlay kind of these different moments from the wedding. That it's a simple thing, but I feel like it's a very good way of like encapsulating kind of like this whole like dream narrative of like their wedding, like just into a few clips. And then you think it's like she's reading a poem, and then you kind of see that it's actually her like her vows.
Love it. That is a big ring.
That is a big ring. Just little things like this, like, there's a clapping in the song. So like, as I'm like my editing process, I'll do like 1 or 2 passes with the edit, and then I'll just kind of sit on it and just figure out ways that I can play with the structure or play with the music to really have there be more of a marriage between the two. For certain films where I'm using classical music, like maybe that's not as important, but there's a clap in this song that starts right here, and so you see the two people clapping, and just how I play with that break beat, with these fast cuts that everything's kind of on beat. I feel like it really just kind of sucks you in really quickly. You kind of see that kind of approach kind of with everything here, just everything's really fast and on beat. The wedding details were just like really over the top.
Are you going out? Like all those aerial shots, are you going out a different day and doing those? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, and like I'm very specific about the times of day that I'm doing it. So let's see. So most of these are like sunrise or sunset. Let me see the other one. And it's not that easy to fly. You don't want to like bother people at the breakers. There are a lot of guests. They're paying a lot of money to stay there. So, I think these are all sunrise shots because that's when it's quietest there. I'm really proud of this moment. The music let's see, I'm kind of bothering everybody with my scrolling. Breaks down into this break beat, goes with the fireworks, the dog kind of looking back and forth, like he's scared from the sounds of the fireworks. I think that's pretty cool. Little things like that you probably wouldn't think of, but like that guy setting up the sound stage, like there's like a static sound in the music, and normally I would never include a shot like this in a film, but I feel like it really works with like that little kind of sound hiccup. These lasers really work with this kind of sound effect that's going on. And then this is like the moment that I like the most. It just kind of hits you over the head because it's like, I don't know, every sound break or transitions musically like gives me an opportunity to really maximize the edit and like really kind of flex my creativity. And so, you know, that part happened with the breakbeat, the fireworks, then it goes into the lasers and the sort of analog synthesizer sound. And then I kind of create this silence to space out the next breakbeat that comes in. Everything's been happening so fast, like at this point, that I just feel like you need a little breather. And this kind of just provides that silence, like in this shot. And it kind of is like a palate cleanser, like in a 7-course meal or something. And then I just want to like hit you over the head really hard with the next shot as like the next phase of like the song comes in, which is right there. And I don't know, I really wanted to go modest with the lingerie, like, you know, in the teaser that we shared and everything else. But like, I felt like, let's give one shot where it's like loud and bold and confident about the lingerie stuff. And like, I thought the best way to do that is to have her confronting the camera, her like in this like position of power on top of him. And if I'm gonna use that shot, it should be used like in the highest point of the music, like coming off of that quiet, like palate cleansing.
When did you do this shoot? Was this like
really
the day before, or was like way before, or?
Yeah, we shot it the day before, right before the rehearsal dinner.
One thing that I'd like to point out, I've said this before, but my wife went to school to be a graphic designer, and whenever she would have to present her artwork, you know, she would always have to give a reason for it. You know, she had to defend it, which I'm sure you had to do in, you know, film school. And I love hearing you talk about your film and you're like, well, this dog, like he was reacting like that because of how the music was going on. And when I, you know, had the guy plugging into the sound system or whatever, you know, it kind of had this little sound. And, you know, it's really refreshing and interesting to hear that you just didn't randomly pick clips and put them in. You know, in your mind, you had a story and a purpose and a reason for this clip in this position. Because I think so many of us, when we edit, wedding filmmakers kind of, oh, well, I just need to include this and this is where I'm going to throw it in, but there's no thought or reason behind it. So it's really cool to hear that you have a reason for everything that you're putting in. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and they might be like really abstract reasons, like just hearing a little static clip in a song. But as long as there's like some kind of sync or some sort of logic that like combines them, then I feel like it's not random and that like I'm accentuating like the power of like the music and the story. But maybe it's a little like on a subconscious level that like people see it. Maybe it's not like so obvious.
It's so good, yeah.
But yeah.
Yep.
We spend a fair amount of time on our edits. I never really rush things, especially on films that like I know like we're gonna really release. Like any of our films, even films that we don't release. I mean, we spend a lot of time on them. I just never really want to rush the creative process, and it's probably not like the best business decision, but you know, as Whitney said earlier, like we're not the best business people. I mean, and that's for better or worse. I mean, it's gotten us to the point where we are, where we can be successful and make good money, and we have a distinct style that separates us from other people. But part of that is the negative side of it. Like maybe we're not efficient enough with our edits, or maybe we spend too much time on our shoes, or I'm sure there are plenty of things that other filmmakers would be like, I would never.
Well, it's really cool from my perspective to just kind of listen for a minute. And I know that I would love to do this all day and just like sit next to you as you edit and all that good stuff. But I would say to the listeners, like, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to get at Vision Quest. I mean, you're going to get to hear more, in the deep parts of, their brains about like why they're thinking what they're thinking. You're going to get so much of this knowledge and everything. And like, I really do wish we could spend more and more time just like walking through every single bit of, what your process is. But we hope that like this little bit of just insight into the films themselves are giving you that confidence as a filmmaker to like get outside of your comfort zone, think differently about the way that you're shooting things. So definitely thank you so much for walking us through some of this. This is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, to those of you that are listening, as we wrap up, please do us a favor, like this video, share it, subscribe, do all of the things. And until next time, we'll see ya.
See ya.